Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I am so happy to have you here today. And I know, as always, that your time is precious. So I'm really glad you're preciously spending it with me and Amnon and our special guest. So, hello, Amnon. Get ready over there.
Hello. Well,
No, 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 no. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Your week been okay?
Yeah, everything's going great.
Good.
Everything. And you?
Just fine, thank you.
Yeah, anything special?
You?
Oh, you're so sweet to me. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been going really great. I had a lovely weekend, and last week I was away on some business, went to Missouri and visited some of the women's chapters that we have out there for Women's Power Networking that I'm a part of. And it was extraordinary from one minute to the next. So it was great. So if anyone is listening from Missouri, from the chapters out there, I want to thank you publicly for treating me so nicely and for being so full of love. So I appreciate it very much. So as you know, every week we bring something interesting. Could be a tool, a strategy, a technique, somebody doing something really great, something I've never heard of that changes my life. And I know that by osmosis, if my life changes, then your life changes too, and the same for you. If your life changes, then by osmosis, somebody else catches the wave and their life is better for it too. And today, I have a lovely lady with me here in the studio, and I'm really happy to have her join us today. She calls herself a gypsy soul. Don't you want to know what that means? I do. So with that, I'm going to welcome Dulce Levitz. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Well, somewhere it's morning.
Yeah, somewhere it is morning.
Somewhere it's morning.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Somewhere it's morning, somewhere it's afternoon, somewhere
Yeah,
it's
is.
nighttime. It's something somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Because people are listening
That's right,
from
yeah.
all over the world. So it's an exciting day. So I want to thank you for being here.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So
My pleasure,
tell
sir.
everybody why Gypsy Soul
Just the freedom
of.
of everything, of life, of just being free and just, expressing yourself in a free way and just stuff like that.
And why does that matter to you?
It's very important that we have freedoms and that we feel that we're not trapped and so forth in life and,
And why you? What is being a gypsy? What does freedom matter to you?
The freedom's, I think, one of the most important things to me. I think it's important to everyone to break away from being trapped in the illusion of the world today, and just moving past that and beyond that, and just being yourself.
That is really well put.
Well,
So
thank you.
I know what I think you mean by the illusion, but could you tell everybody what you mean?
Gosh, it's kind of in depth.
It is, but and
It's
that's
very
what
in
makes
depth.
that's hard sometimes to
and
explain.
yeah, and some people may not quite get it, but me personally, I believe that this whole world is a projection, and I think that we create and project what we want to see, and it's very important that we create correctly. And
So is the illusion what we? So is the illusion? Is it what we want or what we think is there? And we have to break the illusion.
I believe that I believe that we have to break the illusion in a sense, but it's absolutely what we create. And we are very powerful creators. And sometimes when you say certain things, I think you can bring that onto you. The universe doesn't really care if it's a negative or positive thing. It's going to bring you like a genie what you want. So it's very important that you use your words correctly. And when I say correctly, what you want to see in your life.
But it's funny you would say an illusion because I very much believe in this notion of re-enchant planet Earth, and I say this sometimes
And I
because,
love that.
well, yeah, because I believe that everything's already enchanted. Like this is like a Garden of Eden,
Yes.
and we have laid down a level of illusion, or I like to call it yuck, and we've put it there by how we think or how we act or our fear, whatever it is, and we can remove that level of yuck, misunderstandings, but by shifting our awareness, shifting our way of thinking, how we are with each other, by experiencing freedom, breaking free, and as we break free, we remove that level of yuck.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Do you think?
Absolutely. Definitely. And freedom, Sorry. It's very important that we forgive ourselves. We tend to not forgive ourselves. We tend to not forgive others, and we hold that in.
Right.
And we're collectively creating a reality, and we need to create a reality that's good for all and benefits all, not just one individual.
Right, exactly.
And it's very important to me that it's a collective thing, and that everyone works together.
So we're in Raleigh, North Carolina, by the way, and we have lots of guests on from all over the world, all over the country, but Dulce is doing something that is really very cool, and that's one of the reasons. It speaks volumes of who she is, and that's one of the reasons I asked her to come on today. And then, of course, there's more, but I want to get to this too. She's created a community event, and why don't you share that with everybody?
I've created an event. Well, collectively, we've all created this. It's called One Tribe Fest, and it was envisioned to unite all the tribes of the world. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, is it Native American?" Well, yes, it's Native American, but it's all other tribes as well, because we're all come from tribes in the past. So it was to unite everyone, and to have a place for artisans and healers and businesses to be able to promote and share their gifts with community.
So what is the overall kind of, I don't know if I want to call it energy, but philosophy? I know it's about a community, but what is your philosophy in bringing these people together?
My philosophy on it is in, I don't know if the word unity would be the correct word, but just uniting people. We all have differences, but we have a whole lot more in common than we have differences. And to just respect each other's differences, but know that we all want love, we all want security, we all want to prosper and thrive. And that's what we need to focus on. And not having scarcity, thoughts of scarcity and lack, and there's enough for everyone. The universe provides for all of us. The God source, whatever you want to call it, it provides for all of us. It's there for the taking, and it's there to share with others. And definitely, you have to know that there's enough for all.
So, what are you going to do for this event that's going to give that? Like kind of sprue that off,
My hope is to unite people and help them so that all that are there and all that come receive what they need to receive, and with insights or products or art, or to be inspired.
Know who they're getting it from.
Yes, and exactly, and be inspired and know that they're supporting community while they're doing this.
Okay, and that it's kind of like for me, on some level, I love to shop at local farmers markets.
Yeah, so do I.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going.
I love that, yeah.
I love knowing who my farmers are.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when they come up to me and they give me a hug, where you been? And I buy, certain things. And
it's very important to know that, and know who's growing your food and all that.
It is, right?
Definitely.
It's really, really important.
It's very important. I think we've lost touch with nature and knowing where our water source comes from, knowing where our food source comes from. And I think a lot of our illnesses are based on not knowing or being connected to nature and being connected to...
Why is that? Why do you think that?
Well, I don't want to go into the whole genetically modified thing and all that, but our food's being mass-produced on a big level. And I think we need to go back to the basics and just maybe have community gardens or grow on food and so forth. I do that myself already. And you'd be surprised how the food tastes different and how it's so much better for your body.
This may sound nutty, but I swear, buying organic, I know some people think it's like hype, but it lasts longer.
It does.
And it is sweeter. Seriously, I know it sounds kooky sometimes,
no, it's not
but
at
it's
all.
the truth. I'm not kidding. I can really tell the difference.
And it's only like a few cents more. It's not like it's, people say, well, I'm changing my lifestyle so that I can buy these fancier foods. No, they're not fancier foods. Actually, I think the word organic shouldn't even be used in a sense, because it's the way food used to be in the past. It's just a certified label now.
True.
And a lot of farmers are already growing organically, but they can't say they are because, myself included, because I grow responsibly, but I'm not certified with the hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
to be
but
certified.
I buy from a lot of farmers who I trust, and they tell me, no, we don't spray. I trust them. I don't need no labels.
Oh, yeah.
The label is not, I don't care, as long as they tell me that I like that.
And a lot of them don't spray because they can't afford the pesticides. Thank God they can't afford the pesticides, because they're not good for our bodies anyway. So they're telling you the truth when they say that. Definitely.
Yeah, no, and I believe. Otherwise, I don't think they would tell me otherwise, but...
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So this community event is going to pull together community of people who are the healers, artists, and people will know who they're buying from, who they're experiencing what from, and then
Exactly.
everybody gets to work together.
Exactly, as a unified togetherness. And we even have 2 new companies that have come in that I think is it's a wonderful concept, where they come and actually deliver organic foods to your home. And I think that's great, because some people don't want to go out or are too busy, and there's no more excuses that you can't eat healthy. I mean, somebody
really.
can bring it to your doorstep. You know what I mean?
So did you one day wake up and say, "Psh, I'm going to do this? There's a need." I mean, how did you come up with this concept?
It's something that I had talked about for a long time, and kept telling people, but didn't know how to go about it. And then it just really and truly, just spirit kind of led me there. And it's like, I didn't have a plan. I'm one of those that doesn't plan.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you could be listening to this and go, yeah. So I mean, I've seen events come up before. I mean, this isn't. So what is she? Why does she have this woman on the show? And it's because of this kind of stuff that you're going to hear now. Okay, this is why I've asked Dulce to come on the show. This is what freedom is. Okay, so hold on, go.
And I believe that you just have to sometimes put aside all this. Well, society says do it this way, or society says do it that way, or it's not going to fit in this way, or it's going to fit. Just do it. Just follow spirit, and sometimes just go with your gut feeling, not your head, not your heart. I mean, your heart's important.
It's called
don't get me wrong.
listening. It's called listening.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Just listen to your higher selves and the realms above you and so forth, and just move forward. They will propel you in the right direction. Of course, we all have those little fears in the back of our heads and so forth, but you got to put that aside, and you got to know that you're being guided. And I've just been guided. It's like in the beginning, I didn't know how I was going to come up with the original money to pay for the lease for the building. And I just told someone, and he put this particular person, if I can mention names, Philip Young, just put out to his friends and to his, acquaintances. And he says, look, Dulce is having this event. Come on, everybody come on board. And I needed to get that money in.
So it's a person to person.
Yeah.
Person to person, right?
Yes.
That's how
Yes.
I saw something you wrote, but that's how I heard about Dulce, was from a friend who used to live here, who lives now someplace else, and she said, you've got to meet this woman, and
Yeah.
voila,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And just so
Exactly.
happens that today was a day that we did not have a scheduled guest in advance, right? We usually have months in advance. Today we didn't, and it's right before Dulce's event. So that's a piece of why she's here, is to share about her event, to let you all know that you can create events. You don't have to wait to dot every I and cross every T,
No, just-
right? Or
Yeah.
anything for that matter.
Anything
right?
in life. Just don't sit back and say, "Oh, I should have done this, or I should have done it this way, or plan it too much." Just live in the moment. We tend to forget to live in the moment. I'm very much a live in the moment person. That's part of my gypsy soul and my freedoms. It's like, don't plan everything. Okay, if somebody calls you up and says, "Oh, let's go hiking," or "Let's go," just pack your stuff, get in the car, and go. I mean, don't think about it. Your brain will talk you out of everything. It's designed to keep you safe. Like I was saying, with this event, I didn't know where that money was coming from. Put out the word. I had 15 days to come up with that money, and bingo, comes into through my mailbox, and I just trusted. I just trusted in the higher realms and the higher being. I just put it out there, and the universe gave it back to me. And we can do that. We have the power to do this. We can live in the moment, but yet do everything we have to do as well. And live in the moment, people. Don't plan everything.
Well, I believe that when you go with the flow of the river, which means you're going in the right direction with the flow of the river, that there's always going to be somebody with a helping hand.
Oh, yeah.
Someone, something, some kind of something. If you go against the river, watch out. But if you go with the flow of the river, you're going to get help. And when you do something that is in alignment, is meant to be, you're listening to what's necessary, that people need to hear, want, desire, whatever it is, it's going to work out, because
It
you're
is.
you're in
alignment.
You're part of the click.
Yeah.
You're part of that clicking of what's necessary for that machine to go. It's just whatever it is. You're the gasoline that day. You're the screw that machine needed. Whatever it is, you're a piece of what's going on.
Absolutely. Well said, Marilyn. I mean, really and truly. And just live from the heart. Just do everything from the heart. You can't go wrong. I mean, there are no mistakes. That's another word I do not like. I wish it was never created. There are no mistakes. It's just all learning experiences to propel you forward and just each
So
time
we're
get
going to
better.
get back to talking about the event, but I want to talk about you also. So, like, you're from where originally?
Pretty much around the world. But really, I was born in the North and
North of.
I was born in New Jersey, left very
Okay.
early on when I was 2 weeks old, moved to Massachusetts, and then was raised by my grandmother in Portugal till I was close to 6 years old, and then moved back to Massachusetts and didn't speak a word of English. So that's another reason why I like to help people with communicating, speaking 3 languages and communicating, helping them, because I remember a time when I couldn't speak English, and I refused to speak English as well. I didn't want to, learn the language. I was happy with my Portuguese language. And then moved to Florida, and then moved to Africa for 3 years. So my father was a pilot for the Portuguese government, and so we were traveled quite a bit, and it was a great experience because I love culture and music and just learning about different people's ways of life, and it was just an all around great experience. I'm glad that I'm glad that my father's got a gypsy soul as well, and that he loved to travel, and we had that opportunity as well to travel with him.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
So you say that you speak Portuguese better than English.
I don't. I actually, not anymore.
Oh, not
any
anymore.
longer.
Okay.
Because I have not. I have friends here that are Portuguese I could communicate more with, but I also do interpreting for Spanish, and since the languages are very close, I have a tendency to use more Spanish now than I do Portuguese. And when I communicate with my family, and I try to do Portuguese, the Spanish will come out in it, but they understand. So, but if I spend 2 weeks in Portugal, I'll just solely be speaking Portuguese. So
you can pick it up that easy.
Exactly, and you always know when you're speaking that language mostly that day, you dream in that language, so you know that you've got it. Oh, I'm back in Portuguese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really like a shifting of the mind, and it's interesting.
So when I asked you to come on the show initially, you were hesitant, big hesitant, right?
I am.
Can we share that?
Yeah, this is really kind of outside my comfort zone. I love communicating with people on a one-on-one basis, but when it comes to phone talk stuff, I have a friend that does one every month. I never talk on it. I always hide. I keep myself a mute. Coming on here, but I don't know. Something propelled me forward and said that it would be great that I did this, and maybe I can help someone along the way. Marilyn also told me that, and another good friend also told me that, and I don't really know. It's kind of really outside my comfort zone, but I don't think any longer it is. I think I broke free from that.
Because I will tell you, when I asked Dulce to come on, she refused. It took her days, right?
Yeah, it did. It
took
actually did.
her days. I mean, we talked about all of her artwork, we talked about her life, we talked about a lot of things. And I said, well, would you come on and share your story? Because, we've had people on before that are doing specific things. But we're all people, right? But I also love to share just people with no ulterior motive, that their story is their life, and it's just like a regular story that you can have emotion with, that you can cry from, that you yeah, man, that is like a lot of people. And when I spoke to her and I asked her to come on, she took days, and I'm like, she's taking days to come on the show with me? Days? It's about freedom. Why would she take days? And then we talked some more, and I felt her conflict over it, and it wasn't easy. And then we went out for lunch, and she was still hesitant. And I'm like, this seems so easy to me, but we overlook what might not be easy for somebody else. And then she said she would. And so I'm really very honored.
Thank you.
That you've
thank
chosen
you.
to
I'm honored
do
that you
this.
chose me to be on.
So what is it about doing this that was so scary?
I really, it's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe because I wasn't raised where my voice was ever heard, and every time I did express my voice, it was like a negative thing to the people that I was raised with. So I don't know. Maybe it stems to that, and I've always been very behind the scenes kind of a person. I'm a big doer, but I always keep myself behind the scenes. But then again, this event also is also something that's outside my comfort zone. But I've learned a lot. I've actually learned a lot, and it's been very inspiring. And it's all about learning. My daughter always tells me, do something that scares you every day. It makes you feel alive. And I'm kind of going to go with that.
So let me ask you something. I mean, you call yourself a gypsy soul, so obviously you are free within the things that you have been comfortable with, artwork and photography, doing, maybe shooting things that you wouldn't normally have shoot, right?
Right.
But doing like the event, coming on here, these are things that you really were really scary.
Yeah, definitely.
Scary.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's so much that infamous word that I hate, failure, kind of thing that goes in the back of your head, that little voice, that subconscious part of you that really it has no business being there, but it's kind of a way to keep you safe, and our bodies are designed that way. I guess the fight or flight instinct that we have, and sometimes we just don't move beyond that, and I believe that it's very important that we do in life, me myself included. I'm moving forward from that.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So you mentioned not having a voice growing up. I know that when I was growing up, and I would say, my father, in particular, sometimes, and he should rest in peace, but he would say to, or people would say, children should be seen and not heard. I would hear that.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then that just, it just puts you, should be seen and not heard.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can be there, but don't be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It is, yeah. And they didn't know any better. Really, they only had what they learned from as well. And thank goodness that the new parents, the new people these days, the new parents are doing different with their children, and that's very important.
You're
to
right.
change the world. Yeah.
And with my children, I took them everywhere.
Yeah.
And I see my kids they're socializing even more with their children and their young friends.
Yeah.
We did, but nothing like I'm watching my own children do.
And even the way some of the things that I would say and communicate to them weren't like proper ways to do it. But, I didn't have a good model to learn from.
What do you mean?
Like, sometimes you would either say something to your children that probably should have been phrased in another way, but you didn't know because that's the way it was phrased to you in the beginning.
Exactly.
So, but the important thing is to catch yourself and apologize too. It's very important that you apologize and we have a lot to learn from our children.
Mm-hmm. And we have a lot to learn from everybody.
But
it's
exactly.
not. But
We're
it's
all
not
teachers.
a negative.
No.
That's the way it's supposed. It was.
Yeah.
It was constructed.
Architectured?
Yeah.
Or-
What's the word?
Whatever the word is.
Whatever the word is. You know the word?
Designed.
It was thank you. It took 3 of us to come up with a word I couldn't say. It was designed that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know, we wouldn't have the sense of community
Yeah.
that we so need
Exactly.
to feel like we belong somewhere, that we have
Yeah.
roots. Because how many people are out here that have roots, but their roots were kind of chopped up some,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and then other people had great roots,
Yeah.
right? That we all get to learn from.
Yeah, my husband as an example, he was raised totally different. And when I started dating him, he would tell me, you can't phrase things that way. You can't say things that way, which and I take it in and I listen to that. And it's bettered my raising my children and so forth as well. We all have our things, but it's important that communication is very important.
So
Let's put it that way.
You were raised by your grandmother.
Yes.
Can
For
you
the
share?
believe the first crucial
Can
years
you
of my life.
share how? Why?
Sure. My parents were young in this country, and they already had a daughter. And I kind of came along, and I don't think that financially and emotionally they could handle having another child. And I had such a loving grandmother that was an option for me to live with.
How old were you?
Young, very young. Not sure quite the age.
Okay.
They haven't kind of told me the full story, but very young. And because I have pictures and all of being there 2 years old and so forth.
With your grandmother?
Yes. And my grandmother was very loving, and it was the best experience, really, because I was nurtured and loved by a very wonderful woman. And my life, I think, is better for it. I really do. So it's all a positive in it. I don't, you could feel abandonment, and I did for a while, but you can move beyond that. You don't have to stay stuck in anything. There's no reason to stay stuck in abandonment or any kind of anything that you have within you that you feel is keeping you stuck. You can move beyond that. Believe me, I've done that. I've moved beyond a lot of things, and it's important that we do, and move on and go forward. And
Well, it's important that we do, and it's important that we share that. So I wanna honor you for coming and sharing
thank
these
you.
things.
Thank you.
These- Some of the, I mean, I know that
Thank
they
you.
again they mean a lot to you, and they mean a lot to people that are listening,
Yeah.
and that will listen.
Yeah, there is a positive in everything. I mean, we don't always see it, but everything has its positive side. Even what we think is negative is positive because it's not the best for your soul and your advancement. So just take everything as a gift. Everything as a gift. Everyone is a teacher. Everybody gives you lessons and teaches you, and just learn from those lessons and don't repeat those lessons because
So has life, even though you you had a wonderful relationship with your grandmother, and you do have some of that abandonment stuff, was it? Would you say your life growing up from your young years, teenage, young adult, womanhood, was challenging, but also chunks of freedom along the way?
yeah, I was always very free and uncontrollable, let's say. And I like that about me. I think I learned that from my mother and my grandmother. They're very independent women. I love being independent. There's nothing or no one that can tie me down.
And that was a good strength
And I
you
have
had.
a wonderful husband who doesn't do that as well. So I give him his freedoms, he gives me mine. That's very important in a relationship as well, with everyone you meet. But I would say I did have certain things that I needed to work on. Challenge, we could put it that way. Challenge
Opportunity.
is a good word. Opportunity to help me grow to who I am today. Definitely. Yeah, and we all have challenges or things along the way that we have to work
I mean,
with.
when
yeah.
I look back on some of the things that I grew through, sometimes I look at them and I go, God, it could put hair on my chest what I did. I think about my life, and I have this term about listening backwards, listening to what I did backwards, to my history, listening to them,
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
from them,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And some of them I shiver at
Yeah.
where I found myself. I shiver, how I was, at certain times in my life. But I know,
Yeah.
I just know that I was being somehow, as we all are, protected.
Protected, yes. I always say I have I always had wild angels with me.
Always.
Always. I had wild angels. I had fun. I enjoyed my life when I was younger. I still enjoy my life. I do things outside the box. I'm not, rules are made to be broken. That's I
always said that too.
It's like, come on, we don't have to be Girl Scouts and Boy
know.
Scouts. You know what I mean? Just
I know.
live life and enjoy it. As long as you're not hurting anybody along the way, and, just do it. I mean,
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's meant to enjoy.
I totally agree. I think that rules were made to be broken as long as you break them morally,
Yeah, and integrity
legally,
and
with
honor,
integrity.
yes.
But we cannot live our lives based on the rules that somebody placed in front of us because of their fear.
Exactly.
I can't do that.
Exactly.
I cannot do that.
And that's what I was going to say earlier too. Even when we raise our children and our parents as well, we a lot of the stuff we did was well-meaning, but it was from our fear, and we project that out. So it's a hard thing to try to do stuff without the fear based in it. And like you said once when we were talking, there's fear and there's love, and I believe that definitely. We do have to kind of keep ourselves in check with that fear thing. It's like, oh, well, I was raised being afraid of frogs or something. Well, don't project that on your child. You know what I mean? I was afraid of cockroaches, but I, try not to project that on my children, and they actually are the ones who kill them for me. So,
Right,
and they'll pick them up for me too, because I don't even like picking them up when they're dead.
Well, I think that's a good point, though. It's
Yeah.
being aware of being honest, being authentic. We are all learning and growing, right? And being honest and authentic with what we know, what we don't know, being okay with acknowledging what we don't know, what we know, right?
Exactly.
And learning how to break free from it.
Exactly.
How will you? And I want to say I'm an honest, authentic person. So I knew that today's show was something very was an opportunity for you.
Yes.
And I felt it
Yes.
for you. And I knew that this was something that was different. And normally, so when you're listening to the show, I spend a lot of time social networking, social marketing these shows. And I was very careful today not to do too much because I knew how scary this was for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted
I
to
even
honor-
overlooked the link to tell
Yeah.
everybody about it.
Yeah, I'm being really honest.
It's true.
I didn't. So if
And
you're
that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, and you're catching the show because you've been drawn to it. And it's going to be out on YouTube and wherever it is, and it's going to be lovely. What?
No, that's fine. I'm
It's
good with it.
gonna
I
be
could actually do this again now. I'm
Yeah.
like broken free.
You see?
Beautiful program.
Right? And I was really honoring you. And
Thank
I
you.
didn't want to,
Thank
I
you.
wanted to say things about you,
Yeah.
but I held off.
Oh, thank you.
And Chris, I know you're listening, and I know Chris put out on describing the show because she didn't know anything about you, other than your bio. She didn't know that my ulterior motive, and I didn't know what would happen either. So Chris put down on when she was doing some of her social media was, this is a woman who's done a lot of things, and I thought to myself, Chris, I know you're listening. I thought to myself, yes. And that's not exactly how I would want to share this, but I'm going to leave it alone. Because I left it alone. I didn't change it. Because I didn't want to, I wanted you to come into this as comfortable as you could be and be as comfortable as you are.
Yeah, and I am.
Good.
Now I am.
Good. So I didn't promote this heavily. So I guess my point is you're watching this, think about why you might be one of those few people who are watching it live. Maybe there's hundreds of people watching it live. And I'm delighted to have any one of you call in anytime. 919-518-9773. You're welcome to call us in right into the studio and share anything you would like to share. Or you are more than welcome and free to call us on Skype voice, and that's computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice. And we'd love to hear from you. But you are if you're here for a reason. Let me put it to you that way. What do you think about what I just said?
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful. It's true. I always worry about if people are going to come to parties or events or what have you. The people that are meant to be or to hear will be on or be there. So, I used to try to push everything and try to control everything, and didn't realize I was doing that. And we have a tendency to do that, but I'm kind of letting it go, just putting it out there and just being free, totally free now, and just telling people that, just telling myself that whatever is meant to be is meant to be. It's,
So when I asked you to do this, did your stomach hurt? Did you feel nervous?
Actually, I didn't, and I'm surprised that I actually slept last night. I mean, it's amazing. I kind of just asked for guidance, and I says, I'm going to say the correct stuff. I'm going to be well received, and what have you. And I just kept saying that because I think when we use the two words "I am" in a sentence, it should always be positive, especially when we're talking about ourselves. And that's what I did. And I keep repeating that. I'm still repeating it right now as I'm sitting here, that I'm doing great. I'm going to do great.
And you are doing great.
Thank you.
Do you feel it?
Yes.
So,
Hallelujah.
but originally when I asked you, you didn't feel it was scary.
Yeah, and it's not so much that I was scared like on a physical level. It was that little voice in the back of your head saying, "No, you don't talk correctly. You don't say the right things. People aren't going to listen." And it's really not important that people do. It's those that need to listen or get a message from this. It's important. For those that it doesn't serve, that are beyond that, that's fine too. But that's mainly it. It's just that little bit, and I've worked on that, and it's gotten so much better than my past times, So, yeah, just don't listen to your head, man. It's kind of messed up. It just kind of keeps you.
Well, here's a quote from Chris. So pardon me, everybody, for getting close because I can't see. So here you know the truth. And until I get my new computer, which I'm gonna, there's a touch
Enlarge
screen,
it.
I'm gonna enlarge it. But right now I have to get a little closer, like almost kiss the chat room. And it says, bravery is the capacity to perform properly even when scared half to death. Omar N. Bradley. Very
So
true.
true.
I mean, we
So true.
all go through things where we are, we could be scared to death.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know?
courage, and even men who fight or women who fight, they're brave, but they also have fear, and that's a big part of it. We have the two polarities. So
And I have a quote, personal quote, and it's, whose fear are you fearing anyway? Because, I mean, really, when you
it goes
think
back
about
to the
it,
illusion.
goes right back to the
Yeah.
illusion. So,
And what I said to
Yeah.
myself today is, I says, it's not going to be live. I'm just going to.
what do you
And
mean it's not going to be live?
This was what I thought,
Oh.
because I really didn't know
Glad
much.
you didn't know the truth.
I didn't want to
She didn't-
know.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That's so interesting because honestly, I told you that
You
it was
probably
she
did.
blocked it out.
I blocked it out. It's like, and I keep convincing myself it's not live. It's okay. You're fine. People will
not.
watch it if they want to, and
It's
if they
not.
don't, because that's my reality and that's what I'm creating. That's breaking from the illusion. So
Well, it's the truth, though, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
So, so you're a photographer, you're a herbalist.
Yeah, naturalist, yep.
Naturalist. How come so many things?
I just am very I call myself a Jacqueline of all trades. I just like to do everything. I want to try everything. I want to do everything, try everything, taste everything. It's like, that's the part of life. We have that choice. We can do whatever we want to do, and we should experience it all if we choose to, of course. I choose to experience everything. I want to know about everything. There's nothing that I don't try to learn or know about, and that way I don't judge as well. We all judge to a certain extent, but I try to see both sides of everything. My father always said I should have been an attorney. But no, I wouldn't have done well in that kind of illusion. But I definitely like...
I wouldn't have done well in that kind of structure.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do well.
Exactly. I just like to see both sides of everything. I like to read about things, know about things. The information just generally comes to me. I don't even go looking for it. And it comes to me when I need it at that present moment. But I love being out in nature. I love touching the dirt. I just love, that's my peace, is nature. Some people go to church, some people do other things. Nature's my church. And if I get stressed out, whatever, I go sit outside in nature, go for a walk or hike or something like that. And I always feel like I get regenerated that way. And the mountains are definitely like my favorite place to regenerate. And they actually call to me. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but
No,
it's like, come on, you got to come back to the mountains, sit by the waterfall, just kind of enjoy life and forget about everything. And you kind of do. And I think a little bit is because they don't have all that electronics up there, all those invisible wires that are going that we don't even see, or connections through all this internet and all this other stuff. And when I'm up there, I feel like I've been there. I could be there one day and I feel like I've been there a week. So I come back, I'm like Doctor Who. I kind of just regenerate when I go up there. It's a regeneration
Yeah,
process.
I
for
love
me.
the mountains.
Yeah,
I
love a
yeah.
waterfall. Just anywhere where I can listen to water, I could live there. Really.
Yeah, I love the mountains. I have a fear of heights, which is
Me too,
crazy.
yeah.
You do too.
I do as well. Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
It
so
is.
the place that I love, isn't that interesting?
It's high. Yeah.
The place that I love the most. I mean, I love the ocean. I
Yeah.
love water.
Me too, yeah.
But I love.
I
the
resonate with the mountains. Yes.
Isn't that interesting that the place you would love the most,
Is where it's got the heights and
where I'm
yeah.
the scaredest?
I know. Isn't that it makes you feel alive.
Isn't that
Yeah.
so fascinating? Because I can be
Scaredness
driving.
makes you feel alive.
I mean, we can be driving on, winding road, and I'm yelling.
You're like,
from down
don't
here.
go too close to the
Yeah,
edge.
you're going too
and then my
close.
husband's like goes and edges over there just to get,
And the same
Yeah.
thing. I have the and I
Exactly.
love it the most.
It took me forever to drive the
my
mountains
goodness.
here. It took me forever to do it myself, and I really prefer it better in the summertime when the trees and the leaves
Yeah,
are on,
it's
because
that-
you can see a whole lot
And you
more
can't-
depth when those things aren't around. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and I don't know how many years ago as I had some meeting in California, and I went to an area where the birds were filmed, and
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
Venice Beach and up there, and there's a place that's very, very high,
Wow.
and I was by myself, and I purposely stretched myself, and I had to drive
Yeah.
up this mountain, and I actually got out of the car at one point because I just couldn't
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
and then there was a ladybug on my window, and I just prayed to the
was a
ladybug,
sign,
and I
yeah.
said, please just take me up the mountain.
Oh yeah.
And I got up the mountain.
You got up the mountain.
And it was
Courage.
It was, and it was one of those things that when I'm scared, I remember, you know.
Yeah.
And Chris is asking if I have any affirmations, if I do any affirmations like you.
I do, definitely.
What do you do when you're like scared? Well, you did. You said.
Yeah,
I'm this.
just
I'm
I
that.
am. I know it's going to be great. I am going to be excellent. I'm going to be great, and I do that with everything. I don't use any medications. I don't have high blood pressure. If I feel that I'm getting a little anxiety or whatever, I just I love Louise Hayes and her book You Can Heal Your Body.
Right.
I look at it religiously. It's like one of the books that's the most messed up that I have. And, you know, if I get like a little bit of a high blood pressure or something coming on, I just do that affirmation she has. I joyously release my past, and I'm at peace. And it's beautiful. And you could just do that with anything, because you really are protected. You're really safe. And learning to know that you're safe is very important.
Well, I so agree with you. And when I feel scared, I feel like I'm in the right place. I feel like I have been put there and I'm going to be taken care of. I wouldn't be there if it wasn't meant to be. And I find myself in a lot of situations that I am scared. I mean, I didn't know what today would be like.
Yeah,
Coming
yeah,
here
me
with
neither,
you,
yeah.
I was a little scared to bring up bring
Yeah.
your history up. I was I wanted to be cautious and respectful to you, and I didn't know how you would respond.
I appreciate that. And I am an open book. That's the thing. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not, I don't know. But I am kind of an open book, and I do like communicating with people and one-on-one, because I always think that you might have something to learn from someone's story. I'm not a victim in any way. I never portray being a victim. I will tell my stories, but that is so that maybe it helps that person.
Right.
Who's receiving it.
Right. That's the reason.
It's just taking yourself out of victim mode. That's very important. People take personal responsibility for everything that you do.
You know, last week I was in Missouri on business, and I gave a talk during a luncheon that they call a power lunch, and I was the speaker, which I love doing. But there's always that apprehension that when I'm going to go somewhere, I'm not going to speak well. People aren't going to understand me. I'm going to jump around too much. I'm going to say things that might be too deep and somebody won't get it, or
That's
it's
the thing,
too
yeah.
simple and I'm thinking it's deep and they think it's nothing. I mean, I go through all of those things.
Yeah.
And I just told myself that I'm there for a reason, and it's all perfect.
Yeah.
And whoever gets something from it is going to get. And if somebody didn't get something, they didn't get it. And I was just going to do my best. And it's not just me. I'm not, like, I tell myself I'm not doing this alone.
Right.
Like, I am part of this machine, and the machine is working with me. The universe is working with me. God is working with me.
Oh, yeah.
Divine energy
That's
is
the
working
thing
with
we
me.
tend to forget.
Yeah, I'm not doing it alone. Years and years and years ago, when I started doing workshops, I went to, I was doing something in South Carolina, and I always thought it was communication skills trainings. And little did I know that I was doing listening workshops, which is my passion, to do listening workshops and to talk about listening and to do everything I can about listening. And when I was doing this workshop, and I mean, I didn't eat before. My palms were sweaty. I felt nauseous. And when I went in to do this and to give this workshop, people started to cry. And I'm like,
that's
whoa,
beautiful, yeah.
people are crying. But I didn't know it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck did I open up here? And it was my husband now, boyfriend then, said, Marilyn, you're doing listening workshops, which opened up a whole new thing.
Wow.
But it freaked me out. And now I tell myself, okay, you want an affirmation? Here it goes. Jolena Jolie, I heard on a talk show once. She said she pukes. She may not anymore, right? Did you hear this?
Yeah, you told me, I think.
Oh, I
believe,
told you.
Yeah.
Because she pukes before the beginning of every movie.
And I said that's why she's so skinny.
And that's obviously not what I do.
Me too.
Well,
Yeah.
But really, right? So I thought, well, then it's okay to maybe be a little bit nervous or
Yeah.
aware or a little bit more
I think it's natural.
intentional or conscious, like to be awake is what I would
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it. To be conscious, awake, and to be in my moment, in my space.
Exactly.
Right? I don't have to puke.
And I think everyone, because everyone I've talked to, I've told that I was going to do this and I was kind of anticipant. They're like, we're all anticipant. When we all do speeches, we all get that. So we tend to think it's just us individually, but I think everyone. I think actors and actresses too. I think everyone.
I do, and I think, and maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know, but I think for me, and maybe for you, maybe for some of you out there, I'm not in my head. If I walked into these talks and did even today in my head, I wouldn't care as much.
Right.
I'm in my heart and I care. So I take this. So I'm natural about it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel,
Yeah.
and what goes on is the real deal.
Exactly.
You know?
And like I was saying, do everything from the heart. If you do it from the heart, you can't go wrong.
No, and
And you do this from the heart. So
and I don't. And you said earlier you didn't this event. You don't plan. You didn't plan every inch of it.
no.
I don't either, and I for me that's safe because then I'm allowing what's supposed to come to me, and I'm
that's very important,
listening
yeah.
for it.
Yep.
Right.
It's very important, and a lot of people just we all tend to not do that sometimes. And just allow, just release, allow.
It makes it easier.
It does. It makes life so much easier.
It really does. It's not all on me then.
Yeah.
I'm not like doing this by myself. Last week when I did my talk, I did it about listening and leadership, which I love anything to do with listening, and everything is listening. Everything gives off information, everything tells us something, and the more we listen and tap in,
Yeah.
the greater it is. So I took this hotel. It wasn't the most expensive one, obviously, in St. Louis. It was a Hampton Inn. It was wonderful. But I took it because it had a swimming pool. And I like to swim.
Yeah, me too.
And it's exercise.
Yeah.
I got there, the swimming pool was under renovation.
Oh, great.
And I was like, ugh. So, and I schlepped my swimming bag with my fins, my paddles, all my equipment. And the guy at the desk said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're under renovation, but we have a sister hotel 2 miles away that has a swimming pool. We'll be happy to take you." So I said, great. So I made up that the next morning they would take me, and they said they'd take me at 7 and they picked me up at 8:30. They were fitting me in between runs, which was great. They left me in the pool for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Well, this old man took me, African-American man took me to the pool. And he must have been in his 80s, maybe older. And he was driving. And, it's like the part-time job. It was fabulous. This guy, his name was Ray. And he took me. And then when I was coming back, I realized I didn't have any money to give him a tip.
Oh.
And so when I got there, I said, "Ray, I'll leave you money at the front desk." So he said, okay. And so before I left, I went upstairs, got changed. I had to go to meetings. I left money for him. When I came back that night, later on, he waved to me. Didn't say anything, but he waved to me. And I nodded. And the guy at the front desk, so I start walking away, going towards the elevator. So this Ray and the guy at the front desk couldn't see me. So I was walking, but I could hear them. So the guy behind the front desk says to Ray, "That was nice of her to leave you money, wasn't it?" And you know what Ray turned around and said? Like my attachment to what I thought he was going to say was, "Yeah, that was very nice of her."
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he said. He said, "She said she would."
Oh, wow.
And I got in the elevator and I so had a moment. I so chuckled.
Yeah.
It was better than what I thought he was going to say, because to him,
Yeah.
what mattered was my word.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I used that story in my talk.
Right.
And I'm going to use it again because it was so extraordinary. That mattered more to that man than just thanking
Yeah,
me.
the honor and the word. Yeah.
The word. And I got to hear it. And that's part of life, is being
And that's a good
open.
way to see it.
Right?
Some people wouldn't have taken it that way, but that's a great way to see it. Yeah. Yeah, gratitude's important too. Yeah.
But that would have been for me. Thanking me would have been more about me.
Right, exactly.
What I heard from this man was even better. But the other
Right.
part are allowing life to talk to us and allowing ourselves to listen. And as she did, break free. Notice your fear, but don't let your life be that.
Yeah, don't stay stuck in it.
Don't stay stuck in it. I would like to think you heard something in me.
Oh yeah,
that gave you, that
Oh,
helped
yeah, I
you
did
come
right
here
away, yeah.
today.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew something in you. I heard something in you that I knew you have so much to share in general.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And I would love
Like
to see
20
you.
more shows or more.
Well, that's okay. we've created a monster.
You have.
Okay, that's all right. It's a pleasure. You're a pleasure of a monster.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank
tell
you.
everybody again about your event, where it's going to be,
Oh,
and
it's
all of that.
this Saturday from 10 to
Now,
7.
I know you may not live here, but nonetheless.
In Raleigh, this Saturday, 10 to 7 at the North Carolina Fairgrounds. It is at the back building, the Holzhauser building. I never say that correctly, but I think that means house in German. And it's going to be excitement. We have music, live music. We have food. We have great insight, artisans.
What do you mean by great insight?
We have intuitive readers and healers, and it's going to be quite a show. I believe it's going to be big. It's going to be amazing. I'm putting it out there, and the weather's going to be really good too.
Right.
I'm putting it out there right now. It's going to be excellent weather.
And what part of Dulce is this event going to? What part of your energy and the way you are that this event is gonna like reap, is gonna have all through it? What
Just
is that?
uniting people. That's important to me.
So you're gonna walk
Uniting
around
people.
like introducing people? I mean, how's it gonna be?
Well, that's what I always do. Yeah, I'm really good about that, making people feel welcome and introduce. I like to connect people. So connecting people would be great. I am selling some of my things. Don't know if I have a whole lot of time to do that, but
Sure.
if I do, I do. They'll be there for people to look at.
Sell what things?
My natural products, my water purifiers, things like that. I'm big on releasing heavy metals from the body, and I'm very careful with what water I drink and what I eat and so
and
forth.
your art. Talk
And
about your art.
My photography. I don't know that I'm going to have much of that there. I might have an album there for people to look at. I've done that for many years, portrait photography. I was trained in that. Kind of going away from that more into the fine art of sceneries and beautiful things out there, and kind of things that don't move or complain.
Say that again.
Things that don't move and complain, because really and truly, it's kind of like with these new cell phones and all that, everybody thinks they're a photographer, and it's really hard to kind of try to make a living with
true.
that, honestly, because everybody's a photographer. Everybody, they don't realize. I learned when it was film, so we couldn't manipulate or do anything like that. We had to hire artists to manipulate for us. So it's a whole different ballgame. You don't have the Photoshops and stuff. You didn't have the Photoshops and stuff that you have today to manipulate and change things and fix things. So I kind of like the simplicity of it all. I think I'm going back to black and white photography. That's what I originated from and started with. And there's a certain beauty with that texture and the grain and so forth. So I think that I might start doing that as well again. So that's kind of where I've gone into.
And
Yeah,
I think it's interesting, and we'll have to have you come back on again and talk about
Yeah.
photography that
Yeah.
way, because when you say don't move and don't complain, I mean, you getting away from people
yeah, and
or
yeah.
animals, pets, and
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
more of what you see,
Exactly. More of
Right.
more of the world.
more of the world.
And I still like photographing people, but I prefer candid shots. I don't want to pose, and I was trained in the posing where you pose somebody here and you put the arm here and put the. People don't really like that anymore. So you got to move with the times, and I kind of like candid. I think candid picks up beautifully a person's emotion, like at a wedding where they're crying, and I love to blur out the background and just have beautiful blurred out background with people's expressions. So
Yeah,
that I still do.
When you have a minute, y'all, and you too, check out my new website, MarilynShannon.com. I mean, and let me know if you think it relays who I am. I mean, it needs some tweaking, and we're working on it. But check it out and see what you
We will do.
look
I
at
will
and
do
see
that,
if
yeah.
you think
Yeah.
it does what you're saying. Because I would like to think that my
Yeah.
website does that. I want people to
Yeah, more natural.
get me.
Yeah, more natural.
Yeah. I don't like to pose. I don't want people posing. I want to like. So I'm envisioning when you're taking a picture, you're really taking a snapshot
Yeah.
of what you see in something. emotion,
Actually
the
picking
color.
up the soul of the person.
Yeah,
and
or the
and
thing.
I'm one of those that if there's not a catch light, and if people don't know what a catch light is a light inside of the eye. If that's not in my photograph, that's put aside. Because that's where
interesting.
you find the light and the soul of the person. That's what makes the
twinkle?
photograph pop.
It's a twinkle in
Yeah,
your eye.
it's what makes
but you
it pop.
do that with other things as well. If you're not taking a person and you're
Yeah,
taking a chair.
Definitely.
You're-
If sunlight, anything that expresses light or shows,
Life.
because everything has a soul, I believe, even trees, I honestly. And all essences have a soul or something to project out.
So you know what I call today's show? I don't know if anybody caught it, and I never said it like this before. Live Life TV.
Wow.
That's what I said today when I was on a couple of my tweets.
Mm-hmm.
I put Live Life TV because I
Love
figured
it.
this would be all very live.
Yeah, oh yeah,
about
very
life.
unscripted, very live, definitely.
Very live. So
It's like I don't want to know what questions Marilyn's going to ask me. I don't want to know. I just go with the flow.
Marilyn doesn't know what questions she's
live
going to ask.
in the moment.
Marilyn doesn't know
That's
the
the key.
questions.
Really?
Really, I did not know the questions, and honestly, my process is, I listen, but today, and knowing, that you had this great fear and some of the issues you had growing up, and we didn't go into all of that, but it's not
Yeah.
necessary. What you know is it's there.
Yeah.
Is that I thought a little bit as I'm saying it. I listened to the words that I was going to use in order to ask the questions. I didn't just blurt it out, but I waited for the moment
Exactly.
to ask. And I think that's maybe, in life, sometimes you want to do something and you don't do it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do it. It means maybe you want to listen for the moment, but don't listen forever. Don't wait. Don't put listening as as a way out. It's really a way in. Listen to do it. Don't listen not to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So, again, your event's going to be where?
At the fairgrounds at the Holzhauser building
Perfect.
from 10 to 7 Saturday.
Perfect.
Saturday. Be there.
Be there.
It'll
If
be
you have any
awesome. You
questions-
won't regret it.
If you have any questions.
Oh, lots of prizes too. I forgot to mention that. Lots of raffle prizes being given away. Amazing stuff.
Okay,
And
perfect.
you get 5 free tickets when you come in.
And this is today is November 3rd. So if you're watching the show and you're watching on on the archives on YouTube, the show's over unless you get it the next couple of days. But other than that, you can find this lady where? What is your website? If they want to talk to you personally,
Oh gosh, I have so many websites.
give them the main one.
The main one.
An email?
An email. For the show or for
just in general?
In general.
Yes. Somebody's listening and wants to communicate.
OneTribeFest@gmail.com.
There you go. If you want to create an event somewhere, you have any
Yes,
questions
all,
for this
all
beautiful
words.
woman,
OneTribeFest
this is it, right?
at Gmail.
Okay.
Yes.
And with that, I want to thank you all very, very much for joining us today for Live Life TV, Breaking Free.
Love it.
Right?
Thank you, Carolyn.
Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Bye. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Amnon.
guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Marilyn. I'm sorry I messed up your name at the last minute.
Doesn't
See
matter.
that?
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.